Namaste and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. And before we dive into the debate of the day, the top face-off, this is big news coming in from Bengal, ladies and gentlemen. It's a shocker. Partha Chatterjee's aid, there is a big recovery. 20 crores we're given to understand. The entire Bengal SSC scam exploding. We've got the pictures and the details. It's a mega cash seizure that's been made by the Enforcement Directorate. Close to 20 crore has been seized from Partha's aid. Huge amount and stacks of cash have come to the fore. We will try and get you more details, but this is a big scam that has come through. Ashish Merishi now joins us. The raids are related to the SSC scam in Bengal, and this is a top Trinamool Congress man whose aid has now been raided, and 20 crores worth of cash has been recovered. Ashish, wow, that's a big number.
Huge amount of cash, as we know that around the SSC scam came to light when there was a CBI FIR which was registered. There were serious allegations because we all know that Partha Chatterjee is the former education minister. There was allegation that at the time of the appointment of some teachers and certain grade D and grade C staff, huge amount of money was collected in lieu of giving position to, or you can say giving job in the form of teachers or in group C, group D. Now this is what is something which is amazing, is that more than 20 crore rupees of cash has been found, and he occupies, Partha Chatterjee occupies, he's the current Commerce and Industry Minister and Parliamentary Affairs. He also heads Electronics and IT Department of the West Bengal government. There is another MLA, he's a very senior MLA again, Paresh Adhikari. He was also raided. Manik Bhattacharya, a current MLA, he was also raided. Then there is an officer called Arpita Mukherjee. All these senior officials who are in the West Bengal government were raided. And finally, huge amount of cash has been found during the searches. Anand.
Well, how close is this aid to Partha Chatterjee? And is there any account for what are these cell phones? We got images of huge number of cell phones. Who do they belong to? And are these cash, is there any source for the origin of this cash? And does it directly tie in with Partha Chatterjee? What's the explanation? And is this cash stashed from one location?
So is this? It looks to be that the cash has been collected from one location as of now. 20 mobile phones have been recovered. What were they used for? That is something that is an area of investigation, and we can find out from our sources. But this is something from the premises of Arpita Mukherjee. Around 20 mobile phones have been found. So this is why these 20 mobile phones were being used. What was the purpose? All that needs to be investigated, or we can find out from our sources in the Enforcement Directorate. But this is something really big, because West Bengal, we all know that the West Bengal government and the central government are at loggerheads. And at that point in time, if the central government agency raids and they are able to find that huge amount of cash has been found during searches, then obviously this is certainly going to have political twist. Tomorrow morning we can see some reaction from the TMC as well. So it's going to be a big thing tomorrow, certainly, because during searches, if 20 crore rupees of cash has been found, and there is no explanation from where did that cash was generated, how that cash was generated. So certainly it's going to be difficult for people who are occupying senior positions in the West Bengal government to explain how that money has come.
Right. Thank you for your inputs, Ashish. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we set up the top debate of the day, today, the 22nd of July, marks the day when, exactly back 75 years ago in 1947, it was decided that it will be the tricolour. The tricolour of saffron, white and green, with the Ashoka Chakra right at the centre, that will represent India. That will be what stands for Bharat, the most significant standout symbol that represents us as a nation. There were many arguments whether or not it should be the tricolour or it should be purely Bhagwa, because the nation was partitioned on the grounds of religion, Hindustan and Pakistan. But these three colours don't represent religion. They represent knowledge, they represent peace, and they represent prosperity. And of course, the shining light of the chakra right at the center. So it has various implications. But why politicize the Tiranga? The clarion call that on our 75th year of independence, we must have Har Ghar Tiranga. Let's celebrate this. Why politicize this is the question. And here's why.
जहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार हर घर तिरंगे की बात करती है, जो विरोध कर रहे हैं ये लोग हर घर में अफजल की बात कर रहे हैं।
It's a straight face-off, ladies and gentlemen. Har Ghar Tiranga is the hashtag. Why the politics over the tricolor, over the national flag, is the question that we ask. Let's go straight across to our guests and leave the floor to them. Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, and Congress member, Congress leader, but political analyst, independent voice of his own, Sanjay Jha. Namaste, gentlemen. Good to have you here on the show. Shehzad Poonawala right next to me here in the studio. Sanjay Jha, you must make a visit to the Noida studios, and you should be with us very soon. It'll be good to have you straight face to face.
Sure.
Great. So, Sanjay ji, let me start with you. Where's the problem here? If we are saying 75 years of independence, let's have Har Ghar Tiranga. Where's the problem?
I'll tell you where the problem lies. The problem lies in the fact that at the end of the day, the BJP has always used nationalism as a political instrument for vote consolidation. And that is the tragedy of our times. You know, nobody in this country needs a certificate of their patriotism or nationalism from a party whose ideological founders did not even participate in India's freedom movement. In fact, all of us know here that they were in the side of the British against the nationalist forces led by the Congress party that fought for India's freedom, which is why the BJP has no leader to talk about who actually participated in the great historic struggle that brought an end to the British Empire. So for the BJP today to create this environment where Har Ghar Tiranga, all of us are happy to celebrate the 75th year of Indian independence. I think whether it's Shehzad, you or me, all of us are patriotic, nationalistic people. We may have our political differences, but the BJP has abused this. I'll give you an example, a further example. This is the RSS, which is the ideological, boss of the BJP, the mentors of the BJP, did not even hoist the national flag till 2002, 50 years after India became republic. You know why? Because Mr. Golwalkar and others like Mr. Hedgewar, etc., wanted it to be only a saffron flag. You know why? Because they did not believe in the diversity of the post-1947 India. That is the tragedy of our times. You even had recently, Anand, a BJP leader from Karnataka whom they respect very much called Ishwarappa, who made a public statement that sooner or rather than later, you will have a saffron flag in India that will replace
But isn't that the beauty of our country, Mr. Sanjay Jha? That we can all have a point of view. And also the fact that our country, you have presented the Congress point of view of history and the narrative that is the political narrative of the Congress party. There are those who believe that if this country is being split on the grounds of religion, then we should have a flag that represents Hindutva and Hindus. And that's why the whole aspect of Bhagwa came into play. The other aspect is you are saying, okay, that the RSS did not hoist the flag for 52 years. Today it is the RSS and its political offshoot saying everybody should hoist and salute the tricolor. Welcome. We should only say, "Acha, ab bhi maan gaye, hum bhi maan gaye." It's okay. Now, let Shehzad Poonawala respond.
I'll answer that.
Those who have only been raising the flag of one family today, even though they seem to be suspended from the Congress, or perhaps the logic is more suspended than the status, are today coming and telling us that even Har Ghar Tiranga should not be appreciated. Now, let me tell you some holes that are drawn into this argument. First of all, till 2002, until Vajpayee government made changes in the flag code, Anand, nor you, nor I, nor CNN-IBN, nor Sanjay Jha, nor anybody could raise the flag on any private institution. It was after 2002 and 2004, Naveen Jindal's case, that you got the right to raise the flag on a private institution. And therefore, Sanjay Jha should answer that 5 or 52 long years, the Congress party did not give every Indian the right to raise his own national flag on his own house, on his private entity. This shows that they only wanted one family to be celebrated. And they are talking about freedom fighters. Anand, फ्रीडम फाइटर्स की 2000 करोड़ की संपत्ति लूटकर अपने जेब में डालने का अभी ये कांड हुआ है. दिस यंग इंडियंस वाज द मैंडेट बाय व्हिच दे टुक अवे द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ फ्रीडम फाइटर्स एंड दे यूसर्प्ड इट. एंड दोज हु आर आस्किंग अस कि आप फ्रीडम फाइट में कहां थे, माय ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स वर फाइटिंग फ्रीडम फाइट. I can tell you that. We even rejected the idea of Pakistan. Just tell me Sonia Gandhi's grandparents, which district of India? No, Anand, why? He can question BJP leaders. Correct. And where there, I can tell you all of our grandparents were fighting the independence struggle. One second. Anand, don't interrupt, please. But where was Sonia Gandhi's grandparents? He should also answer. No, one second. Now let me ask. Now let me come to the main point. Now let me come to the main point. Anand, you know one thing I'm happy about? I'm very happy about one thing. Good Prime Minister Modi and BJP did not say take oxygen to breathe in. Otherwise, Sanjay Jha would be sitting like this in the panel and saying, I am going to boycott oxygen. We have said Har Ghar Tiranga hona chahiye. So Har Ghar Tiranga. No, see, they have a habit. Once, last 10 seconds.
My simple counter to you, Shehzad.
You gave him a lot of time.
No, that's see, now the BJP is saying,
let me complete 10 seconds. Then you ask me a counter. 10 seconds ho jata abhi tak. The reason why they are opposing this willy-nilly is because, look, in Nanded, the Congress workers were standing on the tricolor. Shashi Tharoor wears the tricolor ulta. Priyanka Vadra also went and insulted the tricolor, and this is their track record, to insult parliament, insult armed forces. They called the armed forces chief Sadak Ka Gunda. They insulted the national emblem, they insulted parliament, they insulted democracy, they insult all institutions of Loktantra because they have to fly the flag of Parivar Tantra.
No, see, whether or not they fly the flag of Parivar Tantra or not, but the fact is that allegation purely is that you are politicizing the national flag. The BJP is doing because you are using nationalism as a fervor to benefit politically. That's the single straightforward first argument, first counter that Sanjay Jha made. So respond to that and then Sanjay Jha take over.
So please tell me that if today we say that the fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution, first 51AA, I respect and raise the national flag and national anthem. Is this also national? Is this also politicizing? Because this amendment, by the way, was added by whom? By whom? Indira Gandhi. So did she politicize nationalism? आप करे तो चमत्कार और हम करे तो गुनेगार. और एक सेकंड, मैं आपसे एक ही चीज पूछता हूँ. आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव, the 75 years अमृत काल, celebrate all the freedom fighters. Have one Congress leader celebrated even on one day Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav? Is it celebrating BJP leaders? We celebrate Sardar Patel. Was he a BJP man? He was a congressman. We celebrate Bhagwan Birsa Munda. Was he a BJP man? We celebrate the stalwarts of the freedom movement. Many of them were Congress leaders. But did they even for once have celebrated Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav? One tweet by Rahul Gandhi.
Now let him respond. Sanjay Jha.
Yeah. Anand, very quickly, he never answered the questions that I raised because he has no answers. Number two, the biggest family in India is the RSS sitting in Nagpur. Number three, he doesn't know his facts. Even before the 2002 flag code amendment, private people were also allowed to use the national Tiranga at the time of the Independence Day and the Republic Day. So he should know his facts before he comes on a show.
Yeah, but why should the flag? My simple small. I'll come back to you. I'm not going to Shehzad. I'm just asking, why should it be that only in 2 days of a year that you can hoist the flag?
Well, I'm glad that Congressman, I agree with you. I totally agree with you, and I'm glad that Congressman Naveen Jindal's case was finally upheld. Point number 4. He talks about trampling on the national flag. Does Mr. Poonawalla even know? Because he clearly hasn't done his knowledge on history. The research is pretty much substandard. That the RSS, after Gandhiji's assassination, RSS workers were allegedly trampling the national tricolors. Number 5.
Show me a document. Show me an authentic document.
It's already reported. It's already reported. You can.
Whereas I'm showing news reports. He's talking about his figment of imagination.
And they're also
like Sonia Gandhi's grandparents were fighting for independence.
He qualified it by allegedly.
No, but I'm showing news reports, authentic news reports. He's talking about his suspended suspended logic,
Oh.
and I'm supposed to buy it.
Okay, let him finish. Huh.
Yeah, I think he's getting a little rattled and upset. Ask him to calm down.
I am not getting rattled. I am
Calm
saying
down.
that I'm confirmed now that you are suspended in logic, not in position of
ठंड रख
Congress.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ यार, ठंड रख. RSS
ठंड ही
had
रख रहा
three
हूँ.
people,
आप भी
by the
ठंड
way,
रखिए और फैक्ट
on
दिखाइए.
26, stop interrupting यार. Calm down.
आप
RSS
काम
had
डाउन
three
मत कीजिए, आप
people-
फैक्ट दिखाइए.
RSS had 3 people arrested on the 26th January 2001 for attempting to hoist the national flag in Nagpur. Can you imagine? Look at the insult to the national tricolors. And here you have Poonawalla trying to talk about Har Ghar
Can you
Tiranga.
allow
I
me
mean,
one
this is the height of
interruption?
hypocrisy.
Just 10 seconds.
The last point.
Just 10
The
seconds.
last
Before you
point-
go there.
Last point, and then your turn. Yeah.
The last point. You know something, Anand? In the historic Indian struggle, which Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, Martin Luther King talked about, the iconic man was Mahatma Gandhi along with Sardar Patel, Pandit Nehru, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, etc. Guess what? The BJP has a member of parliament, a member of parliament from Bhopal who said Gandhiji's assassin Nathuram Godse was a patriot. This is the party for you. I mean, how does Shehzad Poonawalla even have the audacity
Now
to
can
be
I
sitting?
comment?
No, but the point is, if the Congress can have people who are Garam Dal who disagreed with Mahatma Gandhi, a Congress could have a
no,
president.
why are we going down that route?
Congress could have a
Let me-
president who disagreed with Mahatma Gandhi's way and walked out of the Congress party and said, "I'll start Azad Hind Fauj." So you can't have different ideas and opinions within a particular party or within a particular forum. I thought that's the beauty of our country, that we can
Okay.
have all of that, but all of that has been discarded.
No,
how
please,
many of these people who said etc., sir, those words which are etc. are not even part of the footnote of our history books. These are all questions, but Shehzad
Now
Poonawalla
let me-
respond.
See,
RSS.
the problem with the likes of Sanjay Jha are their tax-free hypocrisy and fact-free allegations from WhatsApp universities that Jairam Ramesh sends them. Even though he's suspended, they send him. Now let me answer a few questions. First of all, if the RSS was so unpatriotic, why did Pranab Mukherjee कौन सी पार्टी से थे भैया? जरा बताइए आनंद जी, प्रणब मुखर्जी कहाँ से थे?
जब
हाँ,
एक बार
ठीक
वो
है।
प्रेसिडेंट हो गया तो फिर वो किसी
पर
पार्टी
उससे
के
पहले
नहीं।
किस
हाँ,
पार्टी से थे?
हाँ,
कांग्रेस से थे। तो maybe then he's saying Pranab Mukherjee is also unpatriotic that he went to an organization like RSS. Gandhi ji went to the Wardha session of RSS.
Yes, 1946.
1934 and 46.
Yeah.
Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri also invited them on various national programs. So all of them are anti-nationals by Sanjay Jha's logic. Secondly, now look at the allegation he's made. He did not substantiate any of the allegations on RSS that trampling or etc. with any news report. But he spoke of one thing, that RSS got somebody arrested for raising the flag in Nagpur in 2001.
Before the flag code
One
was
second,
amended.
2001, whose government was in Maharashtra? And RSS has police, or it was the Maharashtra government police? Whose government was it? Whose government was it in Maharashtra in 2001?
भाई आपकी तो नहीं थी, मेरी भी नहीं थी। संजय जी बताइए।
So,
Yeah,
except,
let me
anyways,
answer.
so
Let
the
me
point
answer
is,
you.
it was with.
Let me answer.
No, 1 second. The point is that these allegations that they make it without head or tail. The arrest that he's talking about, or etc., that police must have taken some action because of intruding somebody's property, or etc. I don't know that case. But there was the Shiv Sena if it was a government, it was also there were Shiv Sena people in that. So was the Shiv Sena acting in that way? So the point that I'm trying to make is limited, is that where is the substantive proof of any of the things he said? All I'm trying to say is that today there's a nice initiative, Har Ghar Tiranga. You have neither celebrated that, you have opposed that. You have opposed the Har Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav initiative. You have opposed all of these initiatives only because you hate one person. And that is the problem. That in your hatred for one person, you start undermining democratic institutions, you start undermining national institutions, you undermine the Supreme Court, the armed forces, the country. That's their problem. The obsession with one
I don't
person.
think, somewhere my understanding is, Sanjay Jha, as I have to wind up this face-off juicy as it is, we've got a big news break coming. So I'm asking you, do you oppose principally Har Ghar Tiranga?
Not at all.
No, not
In
at
fact,
all.
that's exactly the point.
So you
Nobody
won't
has
oppose, I won't oppose, Shehzad Poonawalla won't oppose. So what
Well,
you're opposing is that the BJP proposed it.
Yeah, I can no. I can tell you the BJP is crudely, in a manner which I consider is so pathetic in terms of political standards. It has done it all the time. You have seen reports of their leaders, several BJP people who have actually hand in glove with people from across the border. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, end of day, the BJP today is.
No, let me come.
One minute. See, Sanjay ji, I'll tell you what. We have on tape people who are sitting, who are older, far more older Congresses than some other Congresses who are sitting there with people across the border saying, "हमारी मदद कीजिए, कुछ भी करें इनको हटाने के लिए." तो वो सब ही है. I'm not getting into all that. I'm just saying, are you purely opposing Har Ghar Tiranga because it's Narendra Modi and the BJP that is proposing it? Or should you turn around and say, we will usurp it and we will champion it far more than everybody will forget it's the BJP?
Is making a mockery of Khadi and helping the Chinese with polyester imports.
No,
I mean, is this the insult to the spirit of the freedom movement or not?
With facts.
Freedom.
I mean,
Let me answer that because the time is running out. In fact, please ask him to pipe down. I'm stating
Okay, he's answering that. He's answering that now.
On Khadi,
now that the goalpost is shifted, next
1
defense.
second on this Khadi issue. Khadi and Village Industries Commission for the first time clocked a turnover of 1.15 lakh crore. It never did that. Please, Anand. Please, Anand, you know, this is the problem with Congress people. Anand,
सुन लीजिए.
Your time is running out.
Your
Anand,
party is famous
you
for
have to
fake
ensure that my
Sanjay
voice
ji,
is
सुन
heard.
लीजिए ना. Sanjay ji, please. Request. हाँ, बोलो.
Khadi industry for the first time clocked 1.15 lakh crore. This is the commitment. They only kept it in books. Prime Minister actually made it Har Ghar Khadi. In fact, in the Constitution of Congress, it is written we should only wear Khadi. They never subscribed to that thought. Secondly, those who are telling us, they are the ones who said 26/11 was a Hinduon ki sajish, and they gave a clean sheet to Pakistan on 26/11 on Samjhauta on Malegaon. They went to Pakistan and said, please help us depose Modi. These people have never got.
सेमीकोलन वापस इधर आओ. अगर खादी आप लोगों ने खड़ा किया है 1.15 लाख करोड़ टर्नओवर किया तो फिर पॉलिएस्टर क्यों?
Now I'll answer this. Thank you very much. Very good question. When you have to give 20 crore, calm down, Sanjay Jha.
Sir,
just because you're getting exposed, why you rattle?
In your wisdom and mine, and to the benefit, let's not do what we drag down the debate to unnecessary personal jibes, which is not fair. I'm just saying, this is a question which everybody has in their mind. कि भाई खादी से polyester क्यों? Answer that, and then we'll wind up.
First of all, I have already said that how the government has ensured that khadi is not just on paper, but it is on our bodies, and we are wearing it.
Correct.
But why polyester?
हाँ,
अरे ठंड रखो संजय झा, क्यों इतना रैटल हो? इससे आपकी सस्पेंशन खत्म नहीं होगी.
अच्छा.
इस डिबेट के बाद सस्पेंशन खत्म नहीं करने वाली है सोनिया जी. सुन लीजिए. ऐसा है कि when you have to mass produce khadi is a fabric which is difficult to even give to everybody in such a large quantity. We need 20 crore flags for every household in this country. Secondly, khadi is uske andar, if you keep it for a long time, the rang of that color, it goes away. And therefore you need that if somebody has bought a flag, that flag can last with that person for every year for a lifetime. So therefore, from that perspective, to mass produce it, to ensure that everyone has an affordable flag at home, this is being done. It is not to suppress the use of khadi. In fact, khadi has only grown by leaps and bounds. 20% from the last year, this year it has grown. So please tell me, is Mr. Sanjay Jha against the idea of people getting a flag in their house? This is because Sanjay Jha has never respected democracy, constitutional institutions, and they only want every ghar mein ek parivar
if that polyester is made in India, if that polyester is made in India, if that khadi is India, if the flag is India, and if it is the India flag, I am all for it. If we are importing the polyester and importing the flag from another country to raise it, hoist it in our house, then
that's the last point.
Then I would rather we paint on paper and we make a flag in our house, or we paint the walls of our house rather than import from a foreign country. That's my humble point of view. Last word.
One last statement. Sanjay Jha, you clap after this also. Whose leaders are imported. The first Congress, the second Congress president, I believe, or some of the Congress presidents from beginning, Alan Octavian Hume, to Sonia Gandhi, those whose leaders are imported are talking about flag being imported. The flag is going to be made in India. I can understand his discomfiture to raise the flag of India because he raises the flag of a family.
Sir, जज्बा मेरा देश का है, and मेरा simple ये है, चाहे किसी भी material का हो, that flag when it is 3 colors in a dimension with the Ashok Chakra, however it is made, it's a national flag. It should be made in India, it should be made by Indian people, and it should be held by Indian people, by the Indians. That's what I want. That's all I'm saying. The material, if it is it's going to be mass produced and made available to everybody. It's not the material. It's what matters is the flag. That's what. Thank you, Sanjay Jha and Shehzad Poonawala. Thank you very, very much. Amazing face-off on Har Ghar Tiranga. I'm urging all of you to ensure that you make the flag or you ensure it's made by an Indian, procured with material that's made in India, and then we'll hoist this flag in every house. Har Ghar Tiranga, ladies and gentlemen. Now, while we are standing by to celebrate Har Ghar Tiranga, the enemy on the other side is waiting, itching to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. And what we are sharing with you now, ladies and gentlemen, is a CNN News 18 Right Stand exclusive this Friday evening, where we are going to show you how desperate the jihadis are to infiltrate into our territory. This is a big infiltration plot, and right across not the LOC, but the international border. That's the information our investigations editor Manoj Gupta is getting us. The Pak Army and ISI are very keen, and they're under pressure to violate the ceasefire agreement. And the reason for this, ladies and gentlemen, is because there is a major section of the Pak Army that's not convinced with the ceasefire. They believe FATF pressure is now off them and the jihadi pressure is on. The terrorist groups are mounting, saying, "Hamare Carter yahan pade hue, hum kya karenge inka? Humko, we want to push them into India." So that's the pressure from the terror outfits to expand the operations. Jaish-e-Mohammed has moved highly trained fighters to the Lipa Valley. That's the first input that we are getting. Second, Jaish fighters are in the Jabdi village in POK opposite Tangdar. Thirdly, LET is gathering fighters near the international border. And we also have details of the launch pads. We'll tell you where they are and in what kind of numbers. Let's look at this. Pakistan's cross-border terror. So the first location is Rupochak. This is the Jaish launch pad. The first of the this one. The other one, Hizbul launch pad, is in Machal. So Machal, Rupochak, not so far from each other, but you have Machal. That's the other one. And the third one, that's Hizbul launch pad. And then, of course, there is in forward Khatua, that's the JK Ghaznavi force which is there. There is also Shakargarh. Shakargarh is a Jaish launch pad. So there are 4 or 5 launch pads where cadre are waiting, and this number anywhere between 350 to 500, that's the number that we are given to understand is waiting to get into our country. These are launch pads, and this entire sham of a ceasefire is ready to be violated. Sushant Sareen with us, Dr. Kamar Cheema with us, and Lieutenant General KJ Singh with us. Let's go straight across to them. Namaste, gentlemen. General KJ Singh, should we have some fireworks to bring in 75 years of our independence? Very surgically executed. General KJ Singh, can you hear me? I'm going to check the audio through with General KJ Singh. Sushant Sareen, so they are waiting to infiltrate. FATF pressure, they believe, is off them. Now that the regime change has been executed and the Americans are happy again.
No, I don't think the Americans executed the regime change, but that's besides the point. Look, Anand, I think we are getting some indications of greater activity along the line of control. We have seen reports coming in, especially in the Tangdar sector, of infiltration attempts and infiltration taking place. There have been 1 or 2 casualties on the Indian side as well. So to that extent, these reports your report kind of bears out what has been happening on the ground. But the question is, why are the Pakistanis doing it at this stage? And I think that is a bit of a mystery, simply because the Pakistanis suffered hell of a lot when the ceasefire was non-existent. I think it is quite punishing for the Pakistanis when there is no ceasefire along the border. Of course, we benefit from it also, because many of our people who are living along the line of control, they also, there are casualties, there are houses which are damaged, people can't go and do their farming, can't go about their daily lives. Yeah. So yes, there's a lot of disruption on our side as well. But the Pakistanis have suffered disproportionately more, partly because in a lot of that area, although Tangdhar is not exactly, does not conform to what I'm just going to say. In a lot of along the LOC, we hold the commanding heights, so we have an advantage. In the Tangdhar area, not so much also in the Uri area. But having said that, I think the Pakistanis, if they want to try any kind of a misadventure, they're welcome to it. I think there will be a lot of people out here willing to give it right back to them. And of course, the factor that the Pakistanis think that they might be getting off the FATF grey list, although I think there are renewed doubts about they're getting off by October. Maybe it will be postponed to next February. I think the international community will be looking with a microscope on how the Pakistanis are going to be behaving. So I don't think they're out of the woods just yet as far as the FATF is concerned. Of course, the Pakistanis have a habit of jumping the gun, and if they are doing it again this time, then they will be held to pay. I don't think there are any two ways about it. The other very interesting part could be that there are a lot of reports of divisions within the Pakistan Army.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether those divisions within the Pakistan Army are also playing out as far as the ceasefire is concerned. And a third factor, again, Anand, I take you back to a report on your channel itself on the TTP and how the TTP is being pressured to infiltrate and to attack India.
Yeah.
And at that point of time, I had told you that you guys need to look at the Punjabi Taliban aspect of this whole thing, which is where the Jaish-e-Mohammed and other people come in.
Correct.
And that is what the Pakistanis have been trying to float. So I think the story which you are reporting today starts adding up when you look at some of the previous events which have happened and the previous reports which have already been published. When you put all of that in the context of what is happening geopolitically and in Pakistan, I think it all starts to add up.
True, it does. And General KJ Singh, the faces of terror who we are putting, this person on your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, one by one we'll put it out as we put out the faces of terror. There is Rauf Asghar, who is now the Karta Dharta, if they can say, the person who's, or this is Zameen Bakht, whose picture. This is Rauf Asghar. Rauf Asghar has now taken over the command of the Jaish from Masood Azhar. So it's Rauf Asghar who's the most wanted man in the last 2.5, 3 years, 4 years. All the attacks have been executed, planned by him, masterminded by Rauf Asghar. Even the Pulwama and thereafter, from Uri onwards, he's the one who's in charge. That's Talha Saeed. That's another person who is controlling and calling the shots. So these are the three who are orchestrating, training, figuring out the infiltration plans, and of course, more importantly, training and running these terror bases and these terror camps. General KJ Singh, you can tell us more and tell our viewers more about Zameen Bakht, Talha Saeed and Rauf Asghar. These are the people who are now masterminding these camps. Sushant Sareen just put his hand up. Yes, Sushant, another 30 seconds to you and then I'll bring in General Singh.
Sorry, General Singh, I just wanted to add another input. You mentioned Bakht Zameen Khan.
Yeah.
Bakht Zameen Khan of the Al-Badr is a guy who the Pakistanis have used to go to Afghanistan to negotiate with the TTP. Please remember that. And his photographs were published. He was out there.
Yeah,
he
Bakht
was
Zameen.
part of that jirga which they had sent. So this again adds up to what you have been reporting. And Rauf Asghar is now virtually the operational head of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, as is Talha Saeed of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. So again, all of it adds up.
True. So Bakht Zameen, the man with the grey beard, he is from Al-Badr. Talha Saeed is the one with the cap and the spectacles. This is Talha Saeed of the Lashkar. And the third picture will be of the white headband and the black beard. That's Rauf Asghar of the Jaish. General KJ Singh, that's Bakht Zameen of Al-Badr. And the next picture that you will see, ladies and gentlemen, that is Rauf Asghar of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. That's Rauf Asghar of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. General KJ Singh.
Anand, thank you for having me on your show. All these people are in an environment where there is a competitive kind of tussle going on to take hold of the command or being the Amir of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now, Rauf Asghar was the person who was supposed to be running that camp in Balakot when that strike was being launched. And they've been go between the Taliban and Jash, and if you remember, one of the first persons to go to Kandahar when Taliban was coming to power was Masood Azhar. He went there to pay obeisance to them. So there is this dangerous mix. And on a larger plane, if we look at it, the infiltration season is going to close. In September, October, it closes. So there is this pressure that it is now or never. And against a backdrop that electoral rolls are being revised, training for EVMs is being held, and assembly elections seem a very distinct possibility. So to delay it or to somehow throw a spanner in the works. And the next thing is, even within Pakistan, in November, on 29th of November, the tenure of General Bajwa comes to an end. So already there are 4 generals in the running, and one of them happens to be Faiz Hamid, though he's number 4 in that listing of Mirza, Abbas, Raja and Faiz Hamid. So there, again another tussle is there. And within Punjab itself today, because of Imran Khan's victory in these assembly bypolls, there is this churning which is taking place. There is this factor which is coming up that something has to be done to divert the attention away from Imran Khan gaining, ascendancy and emerging as a new hero in Pakistan.
Right.
So all in all, combination of weather closing, assembly elections, distinct possibility, FATF deadline, a false hope that they'll be off that list, and the churning within army and the Pakistan, basically Punjab province. So Anand, that is how I look at it.
Dr. Chima, are you planning a thesis on how these factories operate and how they operate on Pakistani soil without the establishment not knowing at all?
Anand, it's they know everything.
No, I'm just asking Dr. Kamar Chima. He's with us, sir.
Yeah.
Well, Anand, I think I first of all I would like to congratulate the Indian and the Pakistani military for having the military CBMs over back in 2003 line of LOC CBMs, an agreement we had that particularly on this that Pakistan and Indian military will abide by the laws they have assigned to each other. So I think the Indian media is trying to create a crisis, and that crisis is that since there is a political instability in Pakistan, so we should take an advantage of that political instability. So while there has not been any violation at the LOC before, even in Pakistan when there was a new Prime Minister was elected, and I think the Indian military and the Pakistani military, they were holding the agreement they signed together. So the military CBMs on both sides are working. The politicians on both sides couldn't agree for anything. The militaries on both sides, they agreed, and I think we should look for that. And as far as these non-state actors are concerned, those are being played. I think the government of Pakistan and be it the Prime Minister or be it the other players in the apparatus, they have categorically said that anyone who is going into the Indian occupied Kashmir for waging a jihad, he is not a friend of Pakistan, he is not a Pakistani, he is an enemy of Pakistan.
So prove it, Dr. Chima. जहाँ पे ये लोग बैठे हैं ना, उससे 2 किलोमीटर दूर पे पाकिस्तान सेना आर्मी की छावनी है. टोक दो इनको. If you really believe what you're saying.
The point is that
if you really, अरे कमाल है. Osama bin Laden was right next to an army cantonment in Abbottabad, and the army was none the wiser. And these people are 1.5, 2 kilometers away from the army barracks, and the Pakistan army is none the wiser. What fantastic army this is, and what confidence I'll build with them. Amazing.
Let me explain. If the terrorists are hiding in New York or Washington and the Pentagon and the American army doesn't know, so whose fault is this? The terrorists are hiding anywhere.
Sir, can you believe your own logic? No, I'm just asking you. You're trying to convince me, but do you believe your own argument?
States do not know everything. Even
no, do you believe your own argument? आपसे 2 किलोमीटर दूर. A state doesn't know. You just said politicians don't know. Army knows. I'm asking you. Your army does not know what is happening within 2 kilometers of what they are doing. But you claim to know that everything that the Indian army is doing.
military in Pakistan.
Arey, what kind of logic is this? If this person is a non-state actor, why isn't Rauf Asghar dead? Why hasn't Pakistani Zarbe-Az? What is the Zarbe-Az program? If these are non-state actors under Zarbe-Az, why haven't they been shot down yet? Tell me, Qamar Chima, why haven't they been shot down yet? You just now said that they don't have the sanction of the Pakistan government. The Pakistan government is waging a war against terrorism. Jaish-e-Mohammed is a proscribed organization. Lashkar is a proscribed organization. Al-Badr is a proscribed organization. They are all operating under the very noses of the Pakistani army, which is squatting on Indian territory. Now you have not shot them down. You are saying you don't back them. Then what do you do with them? Then you please tell us. आप नहीं कर सकते, हम लोग कर दें. आप नहीं कर सकते, हम लोग कर दें. Will the Pakistani army be happy if the Indian army does it? I am asking you, will the Pakistani army be happy if the Indian army does it? आप लोगों से नहीं हो रहा है, हम लोग कर दें. आप लोगों से नहीं हो रहा है, हम लोग कर दें. I am just asking you, sir. If the Pakistani army does not know, Indian army knows now. Qamar Chima, you just now said that the Pakistani army cannot know everything. Mr. Chima, I am just asking you. You just now said, sir, that the Pakistani army does not know everything. The Indian army knows. CNN News 18 is putting their locations. Our guys can do it, sir. Our people will do it. आप कह दो हम कर देते हैं. We will do it. We'll happily do it. General KJ Singh, he just now said that the Pakistani army does not know everything. उनकी नाक के नीचे कभी-कभी मक्खी निकल जाती है, उनको पता भी नहीं रहता. ओसामा बिन लादेन, आई एम सेइंग हमने लोकेशन लगा दिया सर, हम ही कर लेते हैं, हम कर देते हैं.
कमर भाई, we listen to you, we enjoy your conversation, but please, Qamar bhai, just imagine, it's all, they are being armed, funded, they are training, their camps are right next to your, and actually it is sad, it's unfortunate.
Did he speak over you, Qamar Chima? He didn't speak over you. I spoke over you. You speak over me. Don't speak over General KJ Singh. Let him complete and then you please speak. Then you please speak. Let him complete. Yes, sir.
See, Qamar bhai, dekho, if you will not look inwards, these people will come at you. It's already happening within Pakistan. So for God's sake, do not allow them to take control of your domestic environment, because you think you'll be able to control their direction. It'll be temporary. You'll try it, they'll be eliminated, because the shelf life of anybody who crosses this side is today not more than 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months, that person is eliminated. So okay, you will achieve it for a month or two, but these kind of people will create long-term problems to you. You yourself had to launch Raad-ul Fasad. You called it Fasad. And this Fasad is going
forces and the Pakistani state
eat up your society.
And the TTP. We gave thousands of lives against this war against terrorism. So do not incite that.
Nobody, so you are the ones who are insulting it. Dr. Qamar Chima, it is your army which is insulting the lives of those who have given up their lives fighting terrorism by allowing these terrorists just within their backyard, 2 kilometers from where they are positioned. 2 kilometers from where they are positioned, these camps are operating. And you are saying Pakistani army cannot know everything. I am saying, sir, just to honor the sacrifice of all those who have laid down their lives in this fight against terrorism. Are Mr. Chima, can you hear me? I can hear. I am just saying, just to honor all those soldiers who have laid down their lives in this fight against terrorism, I am saying we know the location. You tell us, we will finish them off. We will help the Pakistani army finish off these terrorists.
How can you help when you are
confidence building measure, sir. CBM. You are the ones who are negotiating and having whining and dining with the TTP. We are not. I am saying we don't want to wine and dine with the Lashkar and the Jaish. Your army cannot, your army does not know where they are. Our army and our forces know. Confidence building measure. Allow us to finish them off. Final word, Sushant Sareen. Confidence building measure.
No, there's no confidence building measure in this. I think this is the job which the Pakistani army will have to do. And despite Mr. Chima's very valiant attempt to bail out the Pakistan army and provide some kind of advocacy for it, the fact of the matter remains that these are not non-state actors. These are auxiliaries of the Pakistani state. After all, if Bakht Zameen Khan is sent by the Pakistan army, which has been spearheading the negotiations with TTP, Bakht Zameen Khan was not sent by us. Bakht Zameen Khan was sent by the Pakistan Army. If Bakht Zameen Khan's outfit has become very active, and it has become very active over the last couple of years, and he is now being used to intercede on behalf of the Pakistan Army, do you still call him a non-state actor? That's crazy, right? Similarly with people like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, these are loyal auxiliaries of the Pakistan Army. So for Mr. Cheema to pretend that, these are non-state actors, nobody knows anything about them, the Pakistan Army is so useless that it does not know what is happening 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers away, even though we know it for a fact that all along the line of control, the Pakistan Army maintains a very robust presence. So for them to pretend that we don't know who is, 500 meters, 1 kilometer away from our base, although those bases are kept in a way so that they can be protected and they can be watched over by the Pakistan Army. So Mr. Cheema really needs to come up with something better than the kind of disingenuity he is displaying on your show.
No, not just that. Mr. Cheema is going to stay on, sir, and we'll show you how disingenuous the Pakistan Army is. In Balochistan, they have actually killed missing persons and claimed that they have neutralized members of the Baloch Liberation Army. We've got that story coming up next. We'll show you the whole details. Right now, I thank you. I've got to take a very short break. General Singh, Sushant Saleen, thank you very much. Qamar Cheema will stay on with us as it's a straight face-off. We've got a Baloch leader joining us, and we've got the story of how Pakistan's anti-BLA operation is actually a sham. These are not BLA agents who have been eliminated. These are innocent youngsters who have been missing since 2017. A doctor amongst them who've been neutralized and claimed to be BLA personnel. Stay with us.